المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. صدق الله العلي العظيم. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala illuminate our hearts by the light of Iman and guidance, and may Allah help us and assist us in the process of purification of our souls from misguidance and corruption, with the loudest of your salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This coming Monday marks the 13th of Jamadi al-Ula, and historically there's this multiple narration and opinion on the day of the Shahada and martyrdom of Hazrat Zahra Salamullah alayha. What is agreed upon is the daughter of the Prophet, the one that whose title, according to all Muslims, this is not a Shia narration or Shia perspective, according to all Muslims, her title is Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen. She is the master of the women of the universe. And according to many, again, narration agreed by all Muslims, she is one of those women that, according to the words of the Prophet, is one of the people who are considered the leaders and the women with the highest status in Jannah and heaven. In the list that has been mentioned, as I said, by both the school of thought, Shia and Sunni, Asiya Salamullah alayha, Pharaoh's wife, has been mentioned. Maryam Salamullah alayha, Jesus' mother, Isa alayhi salam's mother. Khadija bint Khuwaylid, which is the wife of the Prophet and mother of Fatimiyyah Zahra, and Fatimiyyah Zahra Salamullah alayha are among those who are mentioned on the top women of the heaven. The agreed upon consensus is that she did not live long after Prophet, after the departure of her father, the Messenger of God. The difference of opinion is if it was 40 days, 70 days, or 90 days after the Prophet. And the difference of opinion is that we say martyrdom, which means she did not die with natural causes. And in the other's opinion, it was she passed away. And we have our own, let's call it proofs and evidence from the history, and they have their own argument. But one thing that is clear is from one of the most prominent women in the history of Islam. Unfortunately, her name is not acknowledged outside the school of Ahlul Bayt. There are other women that their name has been mentioned. They are at the focal point of many narrations, although they spend much less time with Prophet than Fatimiyyah Zahra, and they do not have the same titles as she has. And we just listened to Hadith Kisa, which is the cloaks narration, and is also narrated by Muslims across this different school of thought. Somehow there's a lot of, I would say, unintentional, maybe in some cases, and in some cases intentional censorship when it comes to her name. And when it comes to Fatimiyyah, by the way, technically is a start on Monday, and tomorrow night will be the night of the Shahada, and this is the second narration. The first one is not as maybe agreed upon, which is the 45 days after the Prophet, and usually are the second and the third one, which one will be on Monday starting, and then the second one would be in December 16th, which will be Jamadi al-Thani, is to shed some light on that part of the history. And I've heard people's argument that why we do this. There's more important thing to talk about. Why specifically this? And the answer to that question is, first of all, we should not use this platform and this occasion as an excuse to insult other people of other madhahib. That's never the case. Not only should not be an excuse, according to our scholars, according to our ulama, it's not right, it's not permissible. And one thing we learned during, unfortunately, what's been happening is that when it comes to those who hate Muslims and Islamophobia that exists, they do not care if you're Shia or Sunni. For us, for them, we're all the same. They paint us all with the same color. But that should not be an excuse for us to forget about history either. That's part of our identity. We should respect each other, but we should also understand why we believe in what we believe at the same time, in a respectful manner. And you say, how is that possible? The same way we respect people of other faith, right? We respect Christians. We respect people who don't believe in the same messenger and prophet of God as us. It should be somehow for us possible to do the same when it comes to the other people who are Muslim who may have a different opinion on this topic. But for us, it's not an opinion. For us, as part of our history, this is something that we identify as a Muslim who is a follower of the school of Ahlul Bayt. And a very important point of history for us is that moment, is the moment of Prophet's departure. And when Prophet passed away, what happened after him is the result that we see today, the division that it is. And everybody have to face God's judgment and stand up before God and say why they follow the path they did. It's up to them. And for us, we should understand why we follow the path of Ahlul Bayt. It should not be because just my dad or mom, they were following and that's the reason, because sooner or later, rest assured that you will be challenged. But why? Why you believe in what you believe? And if we don't know, we owe it to ourselves to figure out. So, after Prophet's departure, this is part of, again, Islamic history, that Muslims, they follow two different ideologies. One ideology is the ideology of caliphate or khilafah, which the ideology which says that companions of the Prophet, they said that a prophet of God passed away. There is no more God assignment. There is no more divine assignment and appointment. We're going to figure things out on our own term. We are fallible, we make mistakes, but we are going to be leaders. So a few of those elders came together and they chose someone, which was the eldest of all. That's the khilafat. And part of that khilafat is many mistakes which was made by them, and they don't deny it either. They said they did. They were fallible people, and it happens. They did the best that they could. This is khilafah. And then on the other side, we have the school of imamat, which the belief is that after the Prophet, the same way a prophet of God was not elected by people, it was not an appointment of people, it was a decision made by God, is an appointment by God. The one to lead after him as his successor, the one who is going to manage the affairs of religion after him, is going to be appointed by God as well. And they call that person Imam, means leader, the one in charge. And he is the one that we believe, because of narrations as well as logical way of it, logical explanation behind it, that leader has to be infallible, meaning that is not going to be someone who make mistakes left and right and say he did his best because it's a matter of people's faith and religion. It should be someone who is qualified, who is righteous to the point that they're not going to commit any sin. And the reason they don't commit any sin is not because they have any temptation to do it. It's none of that. It's because their iman and their faith is to a point that for them wrong is wrong. There is no way that they will be tempted by wrong. That's what infallibility is. For some people, they're being tempted because they don't know if it's really the right thing to say the truth or not. I'm tempted to lie and get away with it. But in the case of infallibility of an imam at the school of thought, an imam, his faith and iman is to a point that is very, very obvious and clear that this is the right way. There is no doubt. And that's why God chose that person to be in the position of an imam. So this is pretty much a very brief explanation. And when this happened, this did not happen, unfortunately, in a vacuum. It did not happen with no consequences. There were consequences. We believe there were, again, this is agreed upon by Muslims, there was an appointment took place before Prophet passed away in Ghadir Khum. In the final year of Prophet's life, which is exactly, if you look at the time, is around Dhul Hijjah, is the time that Eid al-Ghadir is in. And Prophet passed away on 28th of Safar. So roughly around, we can say 2 months. 2 months prior to his death, Prophet gathered people and made an announcement, which was a responsibility from God, according to our belief. That Allah told them, convey the message, and if you fail to deliver this message, as if you did not deliver anything. This is an important part of your mission. Man kuntu mawla, fahadha aliyun mawla. To say that whoever I am his mawla, now Ali is his mawla. The debate is whether the meaning of the word mawla is friend, master, what is it? That's the debate. But one thing that we cannot deny is everybody agreed that Prophet said this. There's so many narrations, so many sources. A great scholar by the name of Allama Amini spent years of his life to make sure find from many sources that this hadith was actually said by Prophet. It's not some made up, or as if some of them try to label it as a folk tale or some kind of myth. No, it's actually a hadith mentioned by many companions of the Prophet. And we live at a time that they cannot say it's a myth. Because now all you have to do is just look it up. There are PDF of this hadith online from many sources. So now the approach is different. If you would have gone back to the time of Allama Amini, which was 5-6 decades ago, the approach was Ghadir is a myth that Shia made. There was no such a thing as Ghadir. Many of deniers of Ghadir would just count on people's lack of access to narration. So it's a made up thing. Not everybody had access to a library of hadith to go look it up. But nowadays, because as I said, everything is digital and everything is kind of, we have all these kind of collection of these ahadith being in one file, easily accessible. So the approach changed. And the approach is now, as we cannot deny it, it actually exists in many books of hadith. We're going to say the word mawla doesn't mean leader. Our approach is going to say the word mawla means friend. Yeah, the word mawla means friend. Let's put aside that the word mawla, the way Allah used it in the Quran, Allahu waliyul ladhina, the word wali is being used in the Quran. And the word wali and mawla, it's about authority, is the one in charge. Let's put that all aside and say the word mawla means friend. And that's, again, I've seen hours and hours of debate between people on this topic. For us, it's clear the word mawla means the one in charge. And we have so much to say about it, but my point is not to. We don't have that much time, and it's not the objective of my topic and my lecture to go on that. If you're interested, there's a lot of good published work on this. You can look it up. al-islam.org is a good source for you to look it up and learn more on this topic. You can do further research. It brings me to the point that, so what's the big deal? So let's assume, I was thinking about it, right? What's the big deal? If you believe in khilafat or imamat, what's the big deal? If something, it does not make a big difference in our lives, why we should care this much? If the end result is going to be the same, why we should care about this? And the answer to that is that different kind of leadership, it leads to, unfortunately, very major differences in ideals, in goals, in approaches. You know, when you read the history of Islam, and you look at Umayyads and Abbasids and all these different dynasty, Ottomans till recently, and even going to the history of Palestine and Ottomans and all that, you see that it is a big difference. There is something that's called that butterfly effect, which, by the way, it's talk about this theory or this hypothesis that if somebody, let's say, had the ability to travel in time and they go to the past, let's say if you had a time machine and you go to the past and accidentally you step on a butterfly, that is going to make such a magnanimous and huge effect on what the world is as we know today. Because that one change in the past, even if it's a butterfly being crushed, is going to affect, and is like a ripple effect, domino effect on what's happening right now. And to say the leadership who went from someone like Ali ibn Abi Talib to someone else, it does not make a difference, is not understanding history. Read history and you figure out some of the answers. When you look at people like Muawiyah being assigned and put in charge of Sham, and you see till this day what Sham is going on in Syria, again, there's a lot of, I would say, theories that you can come up with that why this is happening. It's not going to be easy to get rid of one effect or impact in life. I want you to think about it. Any small change in our lives is going to make an impact in our future. It does. What kind of person you marry, right? What kind of degree you're going to get. These are going to make difference in our lives. Imagine, who am I going to follow? What kind of lifestyle I'm going to choose? It's going to make a difference. Big difference. So, let's not make it overcomplicated. Getting back to the topic. The reason we talk about this event that took place 1400 years ago, that a woman, when she was very young, we say was martyred. She was injured and eventually died from the injury, and according to them passed away. Her role, it's so important in the history of Islam. Why? Because she is the one who raised a family that among those families are the names like Hassan and Hussein. Among those names of this woman, this young woman, she influenced and raised is the name Zainab. And each of these names, part of who they are is because of their mother Fatima. And when they even look at what kind of change they made on the history of Islam, and even right now, when you look at Arba'een and millions of people going toward Arba'een walk, you should see the impact of Fatima on the history of life and humanity till today. Prophet had a daughter, Fatima. Fatima had a son, Hussein. Hussein and Zainab are the children of Fatima, and they started a movement called Karbala, Ashura. And now, in 2023, we see 23 million, 30 million people across all walks of life. They go to visit the grave of the son of this mother. And we can deny that these are all just fantasies or reality. Is come back to our reflection. And that brings me that's okay. This is all a kind of a very zoom out look at what happened in that moment. It's very brief. But what specifically we can talk about that help us on day-to-day life. And that's why for tonight and tomorrow night, I want to talk about a very, very important topic, and that is family. Because for me, when you look at the teachings of our faith, and when you look at the profound impact of family on our lives, it becomes very clear that if you want to have a successful society, without having a healthy family, a sound family, it's not possible to create anything meaningful. Family is the birthplace of genius, birthplace of inspiration, birthplace of iman, or God forbid, could be an environment for the growth of corruption, for the growth of, God forbid, misguidance. It has the potential for both. And that's why family building is one of the responsibilities of every human being. It's one of the greatest signs of Allah's creation. وَمِنْ آيَاتِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا. From the signs of God's power is that Allah said, I created a mate for you from yourselves. This is a journey that you should find someone to join you to build it together. And we call it family. And Fatimah Zahra Salamullah alayha, in such a young life, such a young woman, she hardly lived long enough on the face of earth to say that she had decades. No, hardly. But in that short amount of time, she had a family that we just recited Hadith Kisa, which again the parents are Khadija Salamullah alayha and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And children is with the husband like Ali ibn Abi Talib. And then we have children who are Hassan and Hussein, Zainab and Kulthum. And Muhsin was the unborn child who, because of the attack that took place, did not even see the day of light, the light of the day. What happens that someone like her is capable of raising a family like that? And we have Abu Jahl, who had 10 sons. And they would come after the Prophet and said, Abtar. They would try to taunt him, make fun of him by calling him the one with no offspring, the one with no legacy. Abtar means the one who has no one to carry his name. Why? Because he had no son. He had a daughter. And Allah is the one refuting, answering their insult by saying, Inna shani'aka huwa al-abtar. Your opposition, the one who's taunting you, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He is the one who has no legacy. And now we know. Who knows the family of Abu Jahl, the sons of Abu Jahl and the family of Abu Jahl? Who likes to attribute himself or herself to Abu Jahl? And then look at the family of the Prophet. And Fatimah Salamullah alayha's family is known till now and is an honor for people to attribute that I am from the descendant of Fatimah to Prophet. Sayyids, right? That's a promise of Allah. How this happened? The answer comes back to this. In order to build a proper family, we should know the reason we have a family is something more than just getting rid of loneliness. Because sometimes I notice that we say, why should I have a family? Because one day you get old and you'll be alone. That should not be the reason behind starting a family. Because I'm going to be alone, that's not the only reason we want to have a family. Same as when we talk about family, it's not just about marriage, it's not about children, it's also about extended family. In Islam, we refer to that as Saleh Rahim, which is kind of asking and reaching out to the family members who are in somehow they're blood relative of you. Uncle, cousin, aunt, grandparents, whoever they are. And the reason you do it is not because, they are someone that you socialize with and make you feel good about yourself, is that there's more to this bond, which is an extended family, than just benefit of socializing. In our faith, Saleh Rahim is an act of worship, is an act of obedience. Means, when you reach out to a family member, when you call them or you visit them, you ask them how they're doing on Eid or any other occasion. When we gather on Thanksgiving, and please do not mistaken what I'm saying about Thanksgiving. I'd say I don't know the history of Thanksgiving and what happened to the natives. I'm not celebrating and glorifying the massacre. I'm not. But it's a time that people come together. Thanksgiving is a time that is off. Everybody actually, because now it's off, they can come together. Let's make it possible for people to reunite. So what do we do? On Thanksgiving, we come together. And on Thanksgiving, people sit with each other. We invite some family over. For us, that moment is an act of worship. And I said the greatest misunderstanding is for people to think the only way we worship God is by prayers, by salat, is the only way. That's misunderstanding. Because the word obedience, let's learn a few words. They're not that complicated. The word ibadah. Ibadah means worship. But literally what it means, ibadah, obedience. When a command comes and you said, okay, yes, that's ibadah. The one who actually obey, we call him abd. Abd is translated as servant. But really is about the one who obeys a command. Means there's an authority and you listen to the authority. That's abd. Abdullah is the servant of God, the one who listens to God, the one who obeys God. So when we talk about ibadah, obeying Allah, and that's why people think when you say shaitan, in Surah Yasin, we say, Alam a'had ilaykum ya bani Adam an la ta'budu shaitan. Allah remind us, He said, oh, remember, before we brought you to this world, you made a promise to me. Your soul made a promise to me. And that was that you don't worship shaitan. La ta'budu shaitan. Many say, oh, we don't worship shaitan. Is for the one who are Satan worshippers or some weird cult. No. Ta'budu shaitan means the one who obeys shaitan. Whatever shaitan says, they say, good, yes. Allah says, give charity, yes. That's Allah's obedience. Shaitan said, no, keep the money for yourself. There's a tough time coming. Who cares? They should have worked for themselves. You don't have to give away. Yes, I listen to shaitan. That's listening. That's obedience of shaitan. That's ta'budu shaitan. Ibadat of shaitan, worshipping shaitan, obedience of shaitan is not that I, God forbid, prostrate on shaitan. I do sajda on shaitan. No, I could sajda on Allah and obey shaitan. Is that possible for me to do sajda and prostrate on God and obey shaitan? Is it possible? Obviously. When you look at history, history is filled with names who are prostrating, quote unquote, to Allah, and they were servants and soldiers of shaitan. Ibn Muljam, the one who killed Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. A man that they said his forehead had a marks of excessive prostration. His knees had these dry skins because he was prostrating so long to the point that he had these injuries that become kind of permanent. A man of worship. And who he went after? The commander of the faithful. The one that according to all Muslims, he is the one that Prophet said, if you are considering me Mawla, Ali is your Mawla. So according to them, Mawla means friend. Let's agree for the sake of argument. Prophet said, Ali is your Mawla, your friend. So the friend of the Prophet to the least of definition. According to those who don't agree that Mawla means master. We do, by the way, say Mawla means master. He went against all that. According to Prophet, Ashqal Ashqiya, the most wretched of all humanity. The one who killed Hussein alayhi salam. According to all Muslims, who is Hussein? Sayyiday Shababi Ahlil Jannah. All Muslims, they believe in this. That Hussein and Hassan alayhim salam, these two brothers, are the masters of the youth of paradise. And same people who did pray on the day of Ashura, prostrated on quote unquote to God, they killed and massacred Hussein alayhi salam, the master of the youth of paradise. So to think that because I prostrate I will not obey shaitan is a misunderstanding. We can prostrate to Allah and obey shaitan. And the warning to us is to understand, obey Allah in every level of your life. Attempt, do your best to be that way. You could wake up for Fajr and do pray to Allah, and the moment you're done with the Fajr, pick up the phone and start calling and obey shaitan, ghaibat and gossip and backbiting. I obey Allah by doing fasting in Ramadan, and as soon as I'm done with the iftar, I start doing something haram. I start being abusive to my family, hurting them. I just obeyed Allah and now obey shaitan. Obedience of Allah comes in different level, different acts. Prayer is an act of worship, yes. Fasting is an act of worship. Are we done? No, more. Zakat, when we give for charity, is an act of worship. We obey Allah for that. Khums, Amr bil Ma'ruf, Nahy al Munkar, Tawalla, all these things, they're acts of worship. And among those acts of worship is connecting with our relative. You know, I heard this comment, sometimes you sit with your family on Thanksgiving dinner or any other time. You try to connect with them, talk to them, ask about what they're doing. And some of them, they start maybe exaggerating about their accomplishment. You know, I have this business, you know. It's like somebody was saying as a joke, said many people who are, all due respect, no offense to the taxi drivers. It's a honorable profession, but said some of them, especially Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, when you talk to them, 99% of them are entrepreneurs, right? I do this on the side, I have my own business. And sometimes it doesn't seem right or whatever it is. And I've heard this comment that I wasted my life. I wasted that night. I'm not going to get that night back. I listened to my cousin saying things that didn't make any sense. I talked to my uncle who had this weird opinion and was telling me about WhatsApp messages. I talked to my aunt and all she cared about was say what a great son-in-law she has, right? I wasted my entire night. I could have done something better. I could have worshipped. I could have spent reciting Quran. I could have done something good. And that mindset comes when I think spending time with family, it has no value spiritually. And that is wrong. When we spend time with family and we listen to their complaint and we listen to sometimes what they have to say, which is sometimes just the ranting about their issues and venting, that is an act of worship. Why? Because that's how people bond. Honestly, that's how, when you listen, all due respect, I'm not saying labeling anyone, but sometimes listening to people's nonsense is what makes them bond with you. Imagine your son and daughter, as a mother, as a father. Sometimes they just want to talk. You know, today this happened. All they say, it means nothing sometimes. They just want to talk. They're excited. And a good mother and a good father is going to listen. Yeah? What else? What happened? Because it's a child. And that's how you bond. I think sometimes our judgment is that my time is precious, which it is. But this time, we have double standard with it. I watch an entire movie for 1 hour, 20 minutes. I go on TikTok and Instagram for at least 30 minutes. That's not precious time. I deserve that break, right? It's my time. This is me. I've heard people's description of that time. This is me taking a break. I need to declutter, whatever it is. You know what they call that? It's mindless strolling, right? Just moving the feet. But the moment I spent 30 minutes to my uncle listening to his memories that 40 years ago, how he had his business and when he was in college, you remember one of the comments many elderly said? So the high school diploma that I got worth a PhD of my time. You've heard that comment? I've heard that from many elders. And I respect it. You heard that for 30 minutes? Fine. Suddenly my time becomes valuable. Because one is appealing to my desires, which is, okay, I like to watch this, I like to consume this. The other one is not about my desires, it's about somebody else. I need to listen to them, even if my desire is not really there. Family is about ibadat. When you spend time with relative, understand you get something from it. I give an example from the life of Fatimiyyah Zahra. Somebody who is the master of the woman of the universe. Her time should be precious, right? If somebody's time is valuable, it should be her time. One of her titles is what? Az-Zahra. Why her title is Az-Zahra? Az-Zahra means the luminous one, the bright light. And the reason this title was given to her, Prophet said, is because the angels, they see the light of Fatima on earth. It's so bright, so noticeable and obvious that it's very clear that this is Fatima on earth. So her time should be precious. But we see that a woman comes and asks a question from her. She answers. She goes and comes back and asks another question. In my mind, I think, sometimes people, when they ask me a question, they don't say it's their question. So, I have a cousin who have this question. I have a friend who want to know. And I say, okay. So actually this person was saying that my husband wanted to know this. And so she came multiple times back and forth to a point that she was embarrassed. And the last time that she said, she put her head down and said, I'm so sorry. I'm ashamed of myself to waste so much of your time. I'm disturbing you back and forth. And what she said, stop apologizing. And she gave her an analogy, a parable. Said, if you do a small work, small labor work, but in exchange they give you treasures. They give you thousands and thousands of dirham and dinar and money in exchange of a small labor work. Would you mind doing that work? I said, of course not. So what you're doing for me, any moment that you ask, any time that you ask me a question, what I'm getting in return is uncountable. So don't worry. The reason I'm answering your question is not that I feel pity for you or sorry for you. No, when you ask a question and I help you, I gain something. It uplifts me. It benefits me. So when my uncle or cousin or someone is talking to me and I consider what they say not useful. I consider what they say repetitive, not educational. Remember that you gain something from that. Just listening to that. And that is the same, not just to your relative, your own family as well. Your wife wants to talk about her day. What happened today? I found this great deal. Oh, today, the child did this. They want to talk to you. Please, I know, especially right now, we have this push of productivity and being good with your time. Remember, productivity, it doesn't mean only talk business. Sometimes talking about your day, especially, remember, وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى. Men and women, Allah said, they have their own delicate differences. For some, this is not for everyone. For some men, they get to the point. Not Sheikh Modarres. I need 45 minutes to finish my introduction, obviously. But for many men, they get to the point. What do you want to say? Give me your point. What are you going to say? But for some, they need a proper introduction. Let me tell you who called, at what time, and what I was doing at that moment. Let's create the momentum. Then I tell you what happened. Some people are like that, men or women. And we should understand. And that is part of family building process. To respect what they have to offer. Is it easy? Obviously not. Is it easy? Of course not. I promise you it's not easy. But is it something that we should attend to? We should do something about it? For sure. I finish with this quote. It's from an author. Said there are two types of pains in life. And everybody have to face one of the two. There is no escape from them. Is either the pain of discipline or a pain of regret. when the pain of discipline weighs an ounce, while the pain of regret weighs tons. You say it's hard, it's difficult to listen to somebody say, every single day you come and every single day the same story. Sometimes you say, I want to pull my hair out. It seems difficult. Yes, it is. It's sometimes painful in some cases. If you're someone who's listened to your podcast on two max speed and you want to just get to the point, if you're that kind of personality, it's going to be the most difficult thing for you to listen to somebody's story, take 15 minutes to get to one small point. It's very hard. But you either go through that pain or just say, you know what? Stop talking. I don't want to hear this. I had a long day. I'm suffering enough. You should be the last person talking. You can do that. That's a choice. But there will be a pain coming which is called regret. A regret of the time that I could bond with my family, with my kids. I could have bond with my relative. I stand by them when I lose them, God forbid, when my family falls apart. And then the question is why? Why I don't feel close to them? Why they feel much closer to their buddies in gym than me? They feel so close to their coworker than me. It's not to guilt trip you and do it because you feel, no, but it's a reality. People respond to different reactions, different treatments. And the life of Fatimiyyah Zahra should be an example. That she gave her time to her kids when she's supposed to. Fatimiyyah Zahra is the one that one day there was this competition of writing between Imam Hassan and Imam al-Hussein. And they asked their mother, Mother, tell us which one of us have a better handwriting. Okay, my mother, I have a long day. There is Imam Ali's haq being usurped and you're asking me about your handwriting. What she did, said, as a mother, I cannot choose. I cannot make one child feel that I don't acknowledge his work, one of them being younger than other, or telling the younger, you are better, and then tell the older brother, he's younger. That's why I tell him. This is the way we do it, right? Most of the time. Just the younger one, and then the poor old one is the one who has to make the sacrifice all the time. That's one approach. Or what Fatimiyyah Zahra did. Said, okay, let's do something. We're going to play a game. I have this necklace, which is not used anymore. There are these bids. I'm going to, tear this necklace, and the bids are going to be on the ground. The one who collects more bids is the winner. Play a game. And this is not about me choosing, it's about which one of you is faster to get it, and it's not about the strength or any of that, it's about a game. Don't copy-paste this exact story. But we can learn the lesson, and that is the wisdom. How to look at an example and try to replicate it in our own scenarios of life. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah help us to have a family. The dua I recited from the beginning, Surah Furqan, is a good dua to recite, by the way. You can do it in your qunut, you can do it after your prayers. Whenever you feel concerned about your family, do it. And I really, recently I came across this, which I think is fantastic, is that no matter how much you learn about parenting, about family, at the end of the day say, Ya Allah, I do my best, but you take care of them. I leave them with you. Because I have a certain limits. I can control to a certain point, but there's so many factors that I cannot monitor. It's out of my reach. So Ya Allah, I do my part, but I'm confessing there's much more out of my control. So you take care of it. I trust you. This is tawakkul. I do my part. Everything else, including that, I leave it to you. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ. Surah Furqan, you can look it up. Our Lord, grant us from our family, from our children, the light of our eyes, meaning the one that we can be proud of, the one that will bring us light. وَجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ imama. Not only make us righteous, pious, but make us to be that good that we lead others, become an example. We help others toward righteousness as well. That's ambition, by the way. Not only be good, but be that good and strong that we can help others, assist others on that journey, inshallah. For the honor of Fatimiyyah Zahra, let's recite the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Let's say a salam to Fatimiyyah Zahra, salamullahi alayha. We know that she is buried in Medina. We don't know exactly where. Some says that she was buried in her house near Prophet's grave. Some say she was buried in Baqi cemetery. But in this unknown location, there is a wisdom that why the daughter of the Prophet did not want for people to know where she was buried. And when you go to Baqi cemetery, we know the graves of many other women. We know the grave of al-Banin, where she is buried, and people tell you. We know the grave of Asma bint Umays. We know other women. But the name of Fatima is the one that we don't know. And Allah says in the Quran, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. O Messenger, when people ask you, when believers ask you how to repay you, how they return the favor of your prophethood, tell them to have love, to have mawadda to my qurba, to those who are close to me. And who is closer to Prophet than Fatima? That her title is Abiha. How caring she was for her father Rasulullah, that she was known as the mother of her father. In the time of difficulty, standing by the side of her father. When he was abused, when he was bleeding, Fatima, as a daughter, was standing by the side of his father, cleaning the blood from the face of Prophet when he was attacked. Let's say salam, close your eyes. Let's imagine we are sitting in Medina to Nabi, in city of the Prophet. In those streets that Fatima walked on, in those streets that Fatima and Hassan and Hussein holding her hand walked on. Assalamu alayki ya Fatimah al-Zahra ya bint Muhammad ya qurrat ayn al-Rasul ya sayyidatana wa mawlatana إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفعي لنا. One more time. يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا. When Prophet was in his deathbed, final moments of Prophet's life, Fatima is crying, weeping. Her beloved father is leaving this dunya behind. Amir al-Mu'mineen said, I saw Fatima from the moment that Prophet, her father, was ill, that she was constantly in a state of grief, except a moment. And that was a moment that when Prophet of God said, my daughter, come close, approach me. And he whispered something to Fatima that after a while I saw Fatima smile. So I asked her, I said, oh daughter of the Prophet, my dear Fatima, tell me, if you don't mind, tell me what Rasulullah, what messenger of God told you that made you smile. And Fatima said, my father told me, my dear daughter, be patient. May Allah give you sabr. But let me tell you that I will be the only family that you will lose, and you will be the first of my family to join me very soon. So knowing that soon I'll be reunited with my father and I will not see the suffering of the rest of my family is what is a comforting moment for me. Ya Rasulullah, how they treated your daughter Fatima. It came a moment that after the injury, after her ribs were broken, after her hands were bruised, she fell ill, and we have that one day children run toward the mosque and called their father Ali alayhi salam, "Oh father, come to the house, our mother Fatima, her condition is getting worse and worse, come quickly." And we have, as soon as Ali heard, he started running toward the house. And Ali, the man who is known for bravery, it was the first time people saw Ali as he suddenly become old. He's holding the wall, walking toward the house. As he approached and opened the door, and he started calling, he said, "Assalamu alayki ya bint Rasulullah, peace be upon you, daughter of the Prophet." No answer came to Ali alayhi salam. "Assalamu alayki ya Fatima az-Zahra, peace be upon you, Fatima." No answer came. And we have that Ali broke down and said, "Oh Fatima, people of Medina don't respond to Ali, and now you're not responding to me. Open your eyes, my beloved Fatima." And we have Fatima az-Zahra. After a while she opened her eyes and he said, "Wa alayka as-salam ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, peace be upon you." And that is the moment Fatima said her final words, that, "My dear Ali, I have a few requests." We have the wasiyah, the will of Fatima being asked by Fatima from Ali. "My dear Ali, I want you, the first thing is to bury me at night. When you're carrying my body, I want it to be in the middle of the night. I don't want those people who came and burned down the door of my house to be in my burial and said that they respected and honored me. I don't want them in my burial." That's why we have that she was buried, she was washed in the middle of the night, she was carried in the middle of the night and buried in the middle of the night, closed. We have in the middle of the night that no one knows except few, including Ali and a few of his companions. The second request I have is my husband Ali, is that once you buried me, make sure to sit by my grave. Don't leave me right away. Recite Quran, that Allah knows how much I love to hear Quran recitation, especially when you recite it. Pray for me by my grave. And the third request I have is, my dear Ali, after you finish praying for me, quickly go back home because my orphans are waiting for me. After I've watch after them, look after my orphans, that they have no mother, and now you have to be both father and a mother for them. Ya Rasulullah, this is how they treated your beloved Fatima, how madluma, how oppressed she was, how she was treated, Ya Rasulullah. But we have that Allah said, we will not leave Fatima, we will not let her to be oppressed. The Prophet said, in the day of judgment, Fatima will be the one who will be granted a status that everyone is envious of. That status. What is that status? What is that position? Is that Fatima will stand, and Allah said, "O Fatima, O daughter of Rasulullah, begin intercession, do shafa' of the one who are worthy, and one by one Fatima will separate those who are worthy of shafa' and intercession." Ya Allah, help us to be among those who receive the shafa' of Fatima. One more time, let's say salam to Fatima az-Zahra as we are commemorating this time of Fatimiyyah. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد يا قرة عين الرسول يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا. إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة.
یا وجیهة عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. میرسد ناله از سما، آمده موسم بکا. فاطمیه رسیده است، بشتابید به سوی عزا. عزای ام ابی هاست، شروع غم های مولاست. دلم عزادار و بیقرار، زهراست زهراست زهراست. ناله قدسیان، ناله قدسیان آید از آسمان. بانوی مهربان، فاطمه 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 فاطمه. مرو ای یار جوان من، مرو ای قد کمان من. ای همه باور علی، تویی آرامش جان من، تویی آرامش جان من. پرستوی پر شکسته، امید حیدر گسسته. شدم در این غربت از زمانه خسته خسته خسته. ای نگاهت طبیب، من غریبم غریب. ذکرم من یجیب. فاطمه ای نگاهت طبیب، من غریبم غریب. ذکرم من یجیب. فاطمه 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 یا سپر پرم، گل باغ پیمبرم. در غریبی من کجا می روی سوره کوثرم، می روی سوره کوثرم. ای سپاه علی، تکیه‌گاه علی، ای پناه علی فاطمه ای سپاه علی تکیهگاه علی ای پناه علی فاطمه 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 ناله قدسیان آید از آسمان بانوی مهربان فاطمه 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 ای نگاهت طبیب من غریبم غریب ذکرم اما یجیب فاطمه ای نگاهت طبیب من غریبم غریب ذکرم اما یجیب فاطمه 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 ای سپاه علی تکیهگاه علی ای پناه علی فاطمه ای سپاه علی ای تکیهگاه علی ای پناه علی فاطمه 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 فاطمه
فاطمه امشب پرستوی علی از آشیان پر می کشد امشب پرستوی علی از آشیان پر می کشد داغ فراق فاطمه آخر علی را می کشد روح و روانم هم آشیانم یا فاطمه یا فاطمه روح و روانم هم آشیانم یا فاطمه اسما بریزام روان بر روی گل برگ گلم اسما بریزام روان بر روی گل برگ گلم یاسم شده چون ارغوان وای از دلم وای از دلم یاسه که بودم بود و نبودم یا فاطمه یا فاطمه یاسه که بودم بود و نبودم من مرغ عشق حیدرم افتادم کنج قفس من مرغ عشق حیدرم افتادم کنج قفس خونین شده بال و پرم بالا نمی آید نفس پهلو شکسته در خون نشسته، خیزم به یاری علی. پهلو شکسته در خون نشسته، خیزم به یاری علی. آتش گرفته لانه ام، کو کودک و کو مادرش. آتش گرفته لانه ام، کو کودک و کو مادرش. من شمع و او پروانه ام، آخر چه شد بال و پرش. تا زنده هستم شرمنده هستم از دخت ختم الانبیا. تا زنده هستم شرمنده هستم از دخت ختم الانبیا. مادر خوب و مهربان، حرفمو از نگام بخوان. مادر خوب و مهربان، حرفمو از نگام بخوان. من التماست میکنم یک شب دیگه پیشم بمان. دل بی شکیبه بابا غریبه یا فاطمه یا فاطمه. دل بی شکیبه بابا غریبه یا فاطمه یا فاطمه. یا فاطمه یا فاطمه یا فاطمه یا فاطمه. یا زهرا یا زهرا یا زهرا یا زهرا. همه بگن یا زهرا. بی حاجت نباش. یا زهرا 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 یا زهرا. یا زهرا یا زهرا یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر یا حیدر. یا حسن یا حسین یا حسن یا حسین یا حسن. حسین یا زینب 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 یا زینب. یا زینب یا زینب یا زینب. دیشب تا صبح گریه کردی گریه کردی گریه کردی مادر. دیشب تا صبح گریه کردی گریه کردی گریه کردی. من هم با تو گریه کردم گریه کردم گریه کردم. مادر نمیخواست بفهمه علی و بچه ها که داره گریه میکنه، ولی امام حسن متوجه شد. دیشب تا صبح با تو گریه کردم، گریه کردم. ای وای مادر، وای مادر، وای مادر، وای مادر، ای وای مادر. در خواب گوید کی؟ حسن. در خواب گوید مادر کجایی، راهی نمانده تا خانه بیایی. در خواب گوید مادر کجایی، راهی نمانده تا خانه بیایی. دیشب دیدم تا بخواهی روی پهلو بازگردی، با هر لرزش ناله کردی، ناله کردی، ناله کردی. مادر دیدم که بابا دور از گل رود با دست لرزان سرگرم تابود. دیدم که بابا دور از گل رود با دست لرزان سرگرم تابود. دیشب دیدم ناله کردی، ناله کردی، ناله کردی. و سیعلم الذین ظلموا ای منقلب ینقلبون. صلی الله علیک یا فاطمة الزهرا، یا قرة عین الرسول، یا سیدتنا و مولاتنا. انا توجهنا و استشفعنا و توسلنا بك إلى الله و قدمناك بین یدی حاجاتنا، یا وجیهة عند الله اشفعی لنا عند الله، یا وجیهة.
اللهم ادخل على أهل القبور السرور، اللهم أغن كل فقير، اللهم أشبع كل جائع، اللهم اكس كل عريان، اللهم اقض دين كل مدين، اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب، اللهم رد كل غريب، اللهم فك كل أسير، اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين، اللهم اشف كل مريض، اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك، اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك، اللهم اقض عنا الدين واغننا من الفقر، إنك على كل شيء قدير. وعجل اللهم في فرج مولانا